what are the best tips to go and do a long distance endurance motorcycle ride on a Harley. Catch you inside.
RevelatorAlf.
Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. Hope you're enjoying the channel and the series of videos. Please like, share, subscribe, leave loads of comments below, and check out the website RevelatorAlf.com. So in this video I'm talking about going on a long distance trip on your Harley Davidson. Now, as you know, I've just done a long distance endurance ride here in Great Britain, in which I travelled to every main Harley Davidson dealership, all 29 of them, covered over 1,800 miles, 1,802 in 35 hours and 43 minutes. Now, many people would ask, why did you do it? And that's probably the first thing that you need to plan for. You need to know why you're doing this. You need to know why you want to go on a long distance ride, one, but also if you want to time it as well. And that's where the endurance part of it comes in. Can you go that extra mile? What is the reason for doing it? Are you doing it for charity? Are you trying to prove a point? Is it some ultimate challenge? Whatever it is. For me, I enjoy challenges. I enjoy motorcycle challenges, and I enjoy trying to raise money or awareness for a particular cause as well. So if I can combine the two, that would be great. So that's one of the first things, because when you're in the ride and you're feeling low and you're questioning why you're even doing such a daft thing, and you're trying to stay awake or you're trying to maintain focus, it's this question or the answer to that question that you need to call upon. You need to know why you're doing it. Okay, so on any bike, whether it's just a Harley or Suzuki, Kawasaki, Honda, whatever, it could be anything, there are things that you need to plan for before you go and do a long distance endurance ride or any kind of endurance ride. And it's both preparing your bike, but preparing your body, yourself, and also preparing your mind. There are three things really. So let's talk about the bike first of all. You need to make sure that your bike is going to be able to have a chance at making it all the way around. Now obviously it depends what kind of an endurance ride you're doing. So let's make the distinction first of all between long distance and endurance riding. So long distance, where you can travel for thousands of miles, but if you're going on some grand tour and you're taking weeks to do it, you're having lots of breaks in between. So that's, whilst there is lots of long distance, the endurance part isn't so critical on that aspect. However, there is an element of that, of course. However, for endurance riding, it can be shorter distances on really challenging terrain, for example, in very difficult weather conditions. On a motorcycle, for example, that can be an endurance part, or it can be a very long distance in inclement weather or favourable weather, but it's actually just the distance and the time comparison. So that's a big thing. So you need to prepare your bike to be able to do whatever ride you want to do. Is it roadworthy? Do you have spares? Do you think you'll need spares? What about a toolkit? You know, that kind of thing. Do you need to modify your bike? Is your bike stock standard or has it been heavily modified? Will those modifications hinder you? So let me give you an example, especially on a Harley Davidson, because this is more relevant, I suppose. One of the great things about endurance riding, especially long distance riding, endurance riding, is fatigue. That's the thing. If you've got loud exhaust pipes, that will significantly affect your fatigue or increase your fatigue levels. So on these kind of rides, I would always wear earplugs anyway, but that's just something to factor in. If you've got stock exhaust pipes or quieter exhaust pipes, that will assist you. What about your riding position? Have you modified the bike so you've got ape hangers, which are great for a short distance? They look really cool, but actually in terms of comfort for long distance, they might not be the most suitable. What about the seat? Is the seat comfortable enough for you? This is the most important thing for you, not what anybody else says, it's for you. Now, I just rode a completely stock standard Harley Davidson Sport Glide, and I've talked in the past about changing the seat and everything, but I wanted to do this ride on the stock seat. and I managed it. Yes, it was painful, but it can be achieved. So these are the kind of things that you need to factor in. So prepare the bike in the best way you can. The next thing is that you need to prepare for the ride. And what I mean by that is you need to do practice runs, practice rides, which you might think, well, that's a bit of a silly thing to do. But what I mean by that is that you need to practice riding in specific types of scenarios. Let's say at night, in the day, on unfamiliar roads, in bad weather, if you can help it. If you're going to be riding through bad weather, make sure you've practiced riding in bad weather. If it's going to be really hot and dry weather, make sure you practice riding in hot and dry weather. Learn about your body, how your body reacts in those kind of conditions. Learn how your bike will react under those kind of conditions as well. So getting lots of practice rides beforehand is really essential. The other thing that you need to do on the practice rides is test equipment. Whether it's clothing, boots, gloves, electrical, sat-navs, phones, charging, that kind of thing. Also, any spares that you're taking, any equipment that you're going to take, is it functional? Are you actually going to be using it? Is there a chance you're going to be using it? And are you just carrying it for the sake of carrying it? Or if something does go wrong and you need to call upon it, can you actually use it? So have you trained yourself in using it? Let's say changing tyres, fixing flat tyres on tubeless tyres, that kind of thing. Anything that you carry on the bike needs to be functional, so you need to think about that. The last two elements are physical and mental, based upon yourself and your own riding capability and your own physical and mental capability as well. There is no doubt that an endurance ride is a physical challenge. Now, it's not like climbing a mountain and it's not like running a marathon, but there are very similar elements to it. I can say now that I'm 2 days after the event and I'm still aching, I'm still sore, and I'm still not fully recovered. It takes a long time to recover from this, especially when you push yourself to the limit. Also, you have to prepare your body for different types of food, what kind of food you're going to eat, what kind of drinking you're going to do in terms of hydration. You have to plan for how your body is going to react to the different types of weather conditions. So depending if you'll be riding hot conditions or whether you're cold conditions, whether it's wet. What clothing will you be wearing, and how functional is that clothing when you need to take the most simplest of things like a toilet break? So I'll give you a classic example. On this one, I had multiple layers on. I had 4 layers underneath my big heavyweight jacket. Then I had a rain suit over the top. Then I had a 2-piece rain suit over the top of that. Yeah, that's a lot of layers, but you're talking about a long distance, cutting out the cold and the wind and the rain. And that's what you need. Well, actually, when it came to actually having a loo break, that's when it became a problem, because obviously it couldn't unzip everything. So you have to try and factor these in. So you can either just drink as much as you want, drink as much coffee as you want, but the problem is you're going to want to go to the toilet all the time. So I would say don't drink coffee. It's a diuretic. Don't drink that. Drink water, something very simple. Same with the foods. Don't eat anything that's gonna make your digestive system work hard. Don't have spicy food. Don't have lots of high sugar content either. On a previous endurance ride, I ate lots and lots of flapjacks. They were great, but after 18 hours, 20 hours of eating flapjacks, it's just not good for you. You start to feel sick afterwards. So eat something quite plain that is nutritious, but also can give you a slow energy release as well. Sugar is good for a quick fix and a quick boost, but then you'll just fall off the edge of the cliff. So you need something to maintain that. Look at things from other disciplines like marathon runners, survivalists, that kind of thing. How they manage fatigue, how they manage focus and attention, all that kind of things. One of the great things in marathon running or long distance running or long distance sports, endurance sports, is say, well, some people will say, well, you should never drink coffee, and then other people will say, well, actually, if you drinking coffee is part of your routine, then you should do it. Other people will say you have to have all these performance gels and everything like that, and other people will say, well, actually, just a bunch of jelly babies works just as well. You've got to find something for you that works for you, but essentially, you've got to learn your body. You've got to know what works, what doesn't work. But having, let's say, for example, lots of food, a big meal, is not going to be good for you either, because you need to maintain your focus and your mind, but you need to keep the nutrition going as well. So you need to have small bites, small little meals, regular intervals. So let's say half a sandwich for one leg, and then the next half of the sandwich on the next leg. Same with water or any sort of hydration that you're having. Don't have a whole litre or a couple of litres all at once. Try and stage it out, try and sip it along. Now obviously it depends. If you're in really hot conditions as well, you may need to drink more, but you still need to pace yourself, because also if you want to achieve it in a certain time as well, you need to factor in toilet breaks. And it goes back to what I was saying before. If you're wearing multiple layers, it's going to be very cumbersome to get all those layers off. It's just to go for a number one or, a number two as well. There are lots of things that you need to plan for. As I say, it's about that physical capability, about staying in one position for a long period of time. The physical stress on the body, but on the mind as well. And then ultimately, it depends how long you're riding for, it's fatigue and, that ability or that sense that you need to go to sleep. And it's how you factor that in, it's how you deal with that. So my strategy on this last ride was to start very early in the morning, ride for as long as I could, and then start incorporating little 20-minute sleeps, or as best as I could, just to rest my eyes, try and get a little bit of sleep, and then set the alarm and off I go again. And it worked, but it was still a struggle. I would say with a cat nap strategy, what you need to do, you need to practice this lots and lots for months in advance, so it becomes part of your routine. So when you come to do it for real, you can go straight into a sleep and come out of it straight away. For me, I don't think I practiced it enough, and I found it hard to get into a sleep and then come out of it. So I was kind of a half sleep. I was conscious all the time, but I was resting my eyes. So that was probably, something. When you're doing an endurance ride based upon time as well, you'll find that whatever strategy you have based upon time, your timings, your leg times, will always go out of whack. So you need that ability to be able to re-strategize, if that's a word. Change your strategy, change your thinking. You may have to cut breaks here, you may have to extend runs, whatever. One of the reasons why I took extra fuel with me, or somebody asked me, why are you taking all this extra fuel when there's lots of gas stations or petrol stations on your route? And say yes, but what I want to do is try and extend my range, as opposed to keep on having to pull into a petrol station. I could just pull over on the side of the road, quickly use my spare fuel, and then I can go on for another 40, 50, 70 miles, whatever it was, just till the next fuel stop. And that kind of work, actually, I extended my range 3 times on the ride, so that worked really well. Just a quick reverse back to talking about heavy meals as well. As I say, heavy meals, obviously, about digestion, about, if you're too full, you might be uncomfortable. You need that focus on your mind as well. If you have a heavy meal, all the blood is going to go from your brain to your stomach as well. Well, not all of it, but a percentage of it. And that can lead to drowsiness and everything like that. That's why you feel drowsy after a heavy meal, okay? So that's why you need to pace out these food breaks, and you also need to pace out this hydration. Everything you're doing, every strategy that you incorporate is for one purpose and one purpose alone: to maintain focus. To maintain focus so that you can control that motorcycle and you can navigate and be safe for yourself, but also for other road users as well. And that's the most important thing. It comes down to maintaining a high level of decision making when you're riding. You do tend to get into a rhythm after a while, and you do tend to be able to learn to deal with the pain. But, you know, you need to have contingencies for that. I took painkillers with me as well. I used those a couple of times, anti-inflammatories once, you know, that kind of thing. You know, it's something you can buy, little caffeine tablets or energy tablets, like glucose tablets. I wouldn't bother with the glucose tablets, to be honest with you. I would say just have some jelly babies or something like that if you want a sugar fix. But I would be careful about having sugar fixes, because I say it'll peak you, but then you'll drop off. It's better to maintain, you know, just normal foods, normal plain foods all the way through. Ultimately, it's an uncomfortable ride. It is very challenging, and you're going to have to plan this in advance. You're going to have to visualize the route, know exactly where you're going, why you're doing it, have a good idea of the direction you need to go. Don't overly rely on your sat nav. I didn't have sat nav issues, but it wanted to take me on a different route that I wasn't too keen on going. Whilst it might have been the fastest route at a particular time of day, at the time of day or night at which I was going to go on it, it would have been quicker if I went on another route. So you kind of have to fight that sometimes. You know, not blindly follow a sat nav. You need to be able to look at your route, memorize your route to a certain degree, or certainly know where you should be heading towards. And, you know, an easy thing to do is just think of the big city or the big town that you need to be heading towards. If you're heading towards that general direction, eventually you'll be able to pick yourself up afterwards. But everything you do, as I say, is about maintaining focus, and the strategy to maintain that, whether you're on a Harley, whether you're on a Japanese bike, a British bike, is exactly the same. But especially with something like a Harley, you need to make sure that the modifications that have been done on your bike, it's whether they will hinder you or help you on this endurance ride. And that's something to bear in mind. Now, it may not hinder you on a long distance ride, but it may affect you on an endurance ride, because there is the difference, as I explained before. Right, so these are some of the things that I thought about and considered when I did my endurance ride recently. So the last thing really to talk about is the mental and the psychological struggle that you will have. There is no doubt, and this psychological struggle is common amongst lots of disciplines, whether you're mountain climbing, running marathons, all this sort of stuff, in a survival mode. It's that battle with yourself, and no doubt I was having lots of battles with myself. You have to have clear focus. Now, I'm not a tough guy. I'm not any kind of heroic marathon run or anything like that. Just look at me. But I suppose what I have a bit of a stubborn attitude at times, and I think sometimes it's just the sheer force of will that will get you through this. But you have to keep on badgering yourself to make sure you're going to do it. And, you know, anybody looking at you would think that you're a bit of a lunatic, because you end up talking to yourself, you're giving yourself pep talks. I was shouting and screaming at myself to keep myself awake, keep myself alert, I should say, not myself awake, alert and focused to the level at which I wanted to be safe on the ride. And, you know, things just come out of nowhere, and I was swearing like you wouldn't believe. I was hitting myself. I was moving around all over the bike. I was looking in different places all over the place just to keep myself alert. But you will have that point where you start to feel really low and somber, and, you know, that's again, you need to focus on why you're doing the ride. What is the purpose of it? What's the challenge of it? It's very easy, and there's no shame actually in just stopping and either quitting or just thinking, right, I need a break, I need to take time. And that comes down to a personal issue. It's a personal decision on what you need to do. But you do need to factor in for rest breaks, not only physically but also mentally. You need to have a change of environment, a change of things. So you just get off the bike, just walk around, turn away from the bike and just walk around, close your eyes, you know, that kind of thing. Get yourself thinking about other things when you're off the bike than when you're on your bike. Do it. What really helped me was to not, or what really helps when I do these endurance rides, I should say, is not think about the whole route as my main focus. My main focus is just to get to the next stage. That's it. All I'm thinking about is getting to that next stage, that next checkpoint. And then I think, right, okay, what do I need to do now? Can I make it? How's my body feeling? At every moment during the ride, you know, constant analysis of how you are, how you doing, how you're riding, you know, all that kind of stuff, as well as all the time calculations and the fuel calculations and everything like that. So it's a mentally, physically challenging endeavor, but definitely the mental aspect of endurance riding should never be underestimated. That's why your planning, that's why your preparation, your test rides, and everything like that really comes into its own. Anyway, well, I hope you found this useful. As I say, you know, on the Harley Davidson Sport Glide, it was a fantastic bike to do it on, very comfortable. Whilst I was obviously in pain and suffering and sore, the actual ergonomics of the bike and the ride itself was great, and it performed fantastically well. But there's more videos on that particular ride and how the Harley Sport Glide functioned. But anyway, hope you found this useful. If you want to do endurance riding or anything like that, you know, you don't have to just go out on a big long endurance ride. What you can do is just start off with shorter ones and you know, get into it. And there's lots of associations that do organized rides for you, or you can just do them by yourself. But the whole idea is that you're testing yourself, you're pushing yourself and your body and your bike as well, but still maintaining a big safety margin to be able to complete the task. Right, anyway, hope you found this useful or interesting. Please like, share, subscribe, leave loads of comments below. Check out the website, RevelatorAlf.com. And I'll catch you on the next video coming very, very soon. Ta-ra now.
RevelatorAlf.